What I want to show you today is a couple of commands that you may or may not be familiar with when it comes to Linux, but they are incredibly useful. Very, very useful commands. And the two commands that we're going to look at right now are called type and compgen. And so if we type in man type and hit enter, you will see that with type will write a description of a command type, and the only argument that you can really pass to type is going to be name. And that name is going to be whatever needs to be interpreted. And there's not a whole lot to it. It is very, very simple. But if you're wondering about a command or something that you're interacting with on your system, this is the way for you to be able to figure out, hey, what is this thing? Because what we're trying to find out is if an item is a keyword, if it is a built in, or if it's a file. That's typically the three items that you need to know about anything that you're working with in Linux. So if it's a built in, that means it's something that's built into like the shell. If it's a keyword, then a keyword is a item that can be used as a method for you to be able to work with a program. So, like the statement if, that would be a keyword. So, we can do if a file exists, then do something else, right? Those might be the items that you want to be able to work with. And the the entire point of using something like type can kind of be superseded by using Compgen. You can use Compgen instead, but it's still helpful to be able to very quickly check if something is a file, if it's a keyword, if it's built in, just what is it built out of, right? So to do this, what you might type is something like type dash t, and then we would type if, and you're going to see it comes back as a keyword. So an if is a keyword. So you really don't want to make a file called if and then try to run that file. It wouldn't go well, right? So we can do the same thing. If I have type dash t and I type pwd, that's a command, right? And I hit enter, and now we find out, oh, that's a built-in. I can do the same thing if I do type dash t and then we do something like cd. Oh, it's a built-in, right? What about ls? Type dash t ls. It's an alias. And so, what is the ls alias? Well, I have an actual alias that's built in that I put in here so that ls adds color, right? And so I'm using an alias for my ls. But if you're in a system and you're like, oh man, alias isn't working right, or I'm sorry, ls isn't working right. I don't know why I'm in this system, and every time I type ls, something weird is happening, something that I don't expect. There's a behavior here that I don't recognize. Then what you can do is type dash t ls and you hit enter, and now you know that somebody has aliased ls to something else, which we can easily do, right? If I were to do that with type dash t invim and hit enter, you can see invim comes back as a file. If I go to vim, well, great, that comes back as a file. Let me try fish here and type dash t in vim, comes back as a file. Okay, perfect. So no matter what command you want to check, it will always come back and it will tell you what is going on. Is it a file? Is it a built-in? Is it an alias? Is it a keyword? And that can give you a lot of information that you can now use to follow through on whatever it is that you're trying to troubleshoot. So if you see weird behavior and it comes back as an alias, maybe somebody went in there and they specifically made a change so that ls behaves in a specific way, and now you got to figure that out. So what about compgen? What can we do with that? If I type in compgen -c, well, that shows me all of the commands that are available to me. So I can actually type that into grep, and I can say, oh, I want to look for something like OBS. And now I can see I have jobs, I have OBS, and these are all showing up in here. If I go and I type in invim, then I can see that invim shows up. I can do the same thing by doing the word Google, right? And now I can see, Google Earth is on this computer and Google Chrome. And so you can use Compgen-C in order to see all of the commands that are available on the system. So hit enter and it goes here. The other thing that we can do is we can pipe this into less. So we use pipe less, and then now we have access to all the commands so that we can look and we can see, oh, what's on here. If you wanted to look at it by hand, so I can see return, pwd, popd, jobs, history, so on and so forth. This is a great way to be able to look and see if there are odd things installed on the system, right? Because now I'm getting a list of all of the commands that can be run, and I may see something in here that seems strange or different, or there may be like anything that brings my attention, and I might need to ask myself, oh, what is that, right? HP diagnose queues. Oh, well, I have a Hewlett Packard printer. Does that have something to do with that? I can see some stuff here related to MariaDB and MySQL dump. You have KWallet to John. There's a lot of things in here that would immediately tell you about what people are using their computer for. Pipex, right? So maybe that person's a programmer. Maybe you need to start looking carefully at what they're doing in terms of Python or Python development, right? So on and so forth. So lots and lots and lots of commands in here. The other thing that this might be useful for, that you might want to use it for, is, oh, I only remember maybe the first 2 letters of a command. And we'll just use OBS as an example again. So I might say grep, and then I say, oh, I can't remember the name of that application. I know it started with an O and a B. I hit enter, and now I've got a list of stuff here that I can take a look at it. And I can go, oh, let's see. Oh, there it is, OBS. There's the application I needed. Or, oh, look, there's object dump. Was it OBS or was it object dump? I can't remember. And maybe you do a little experimentation here, but you can figure that out, right? Then the next piece, Compgen-B. And this is going to show us all of our built-ins. Everything here is a built-in. And you can see we have alias, BG, break, built-in, caller, CD, command, DIRS, EXEC, eval, enable, echo, so on and so forth. So this is every single built-in that is available on the computer right now. Everything from wait all the way up to periods and colons and other symbols, right? And then finally, the last piece, we can do compgen-k, and this will show you all of the programming keywords that we can use. So these are all keywords right here from top to bottom. So we can build if statements, then, else, else if. We can see fi, which is used to close the if statement. We can see case, then esac, which is used for closing case. We have for, select, while, until, do, done, in, function, time, and then we can see some of the other keywords that are used right here, like not, and there, and then coproc. So Compgen, incredibly powerful, and type, incredibly powerful. These can help you very quickly find out what is on a computer, what is available to you, what commands are available, what built-ins are there. If you ever log into a computer and you have absolutely no idea what is on that computer and what can be run, this is a great tool, an incredibly fantastic tool that will let you very quickly figure out, because you can sit down and you can make a list, right? And you can say, okay, I'm worried about commands that are on the system. So again, we do compgen-c, as in Charlie, pipe, grep, and then let's just say, I wonder if they're using Docker. And they are. And so now I might type in Docker, and I can see, here we go. Docker's on here. And then we can also see right here, it's letting me know that they have a missing command for Podman. So Docker type -t, Docker is a file. Is Podman on here? Podman is a file. And so we have a file in Docker that is probably referencing Podman, right? If you know anything about Docker and you know anything about Podman, you would understand that there's some kind of a referential behavior here, right? I install Podman, but in order to make all my Docker commands continue to work, I have kind of a translation system, right? So I can just say Docker. So if we go back and we type in Compgen, sorry, dash C, and again, we're going to pipe and we're going to grep, and we could say something like, um, what's another one that I want to look for? Steam, right? And now I can see somebody is running Steam on the system. And so we can find out what commands are available. We can figure out what files are available. We can figure out built-ins. We can figure out keywords. And so with only 2 commands, you're now able to figure out what's on a system very, very quickly. So what I would tell you is, uh, for now, keep that information written down somewhere. And then just remember, you can always reference this. And I'll tell you right now, not everybody's going to remember this forever, so that's okay. And that's the whole point of a command like Compgen, right? If we can learn Compgen, then we can use Compgen in order to find all of the other bits and pieces of the computer that we need to do our daily work. So Compgen is where it starts, because once you know Compgen and you know how to pipe and you can use grep, then we can search for commands. And this makes living inside of your terminal so much easier and so much more effective, because you're not going to sit there for 20-30 minutes typing find dot forward slash type f dash name, and then I'm going to type in OBS, and now I'm going to be sitting there for 34 minutes while my computer tries to search every single file and folder to figure out, do we have a file named OBS? Maybe. Or do we use Compgen and just grep for OBS, and now we know, oh yes, we do have OBS, and OBS is available on this computer right now. Same thing, I can do Compgen dash C pipe grep, and then I can type something like Python. And oh, lo and behold, do I have Python? Absolutely. Python-dbg, Python 3, Python text, Python config, so on and so forth. So we have all of these places where Python exists, and that starts telling me information about the computer. So this is very effective for everything from digital forensics. So if you're getting inside of a computer and you got to figure out what's on that computer, this is a way to do it. All the way to, I'm a new user, I don't know a ton about my computer, I'm forgiving commands. That's totally okay. Compgen-C, pipe, grep, and just the name of, and just a couple of letters of what you might think it is. And you can start getting some recommendations there. Or old trusty, right? Compgen-C, pipe, and then we do something like less. And if you have to, and that's where you're at, and you're going to sit here and you got to go through this line by line until you can remember what it was. Oh, there it is, pip 3, right? There's pip 3 right there at the bottom. That might be what I was looking for, right? But I had to go through this by hand, and I had to start looking for stuff. So that's the power of Compgen. That's the power of types. This will make you a much better Linux user the moment that you start using this, because you will be able to start finding things on your system also without having to go to Google. What you want to do is you want to get to the point where you can use the built-in tools that exist within your Linux computer to get access to and figure things out without you having to go to Google, or without you having to go and sit in Stack Overflow and hope that somebody has typed in whatever it is that you need. So this is that low level of being able to bootstrap yourself and to pull yourself up and to be able to accomplish things within whatever it is that you're working on. And Compgen and type, that's where it starts. That's some of the first commands that you need to learn, because Compgen will tell you about all of the other commands that are available to you on your system. So hopefully that helps you. If it does, please consider doing all the things that you know to do, right? Like, subscribe. If you learned something here, fantastic. Leave a comment. There's tons of places to do it. I would appreciate it. It would help me out a ton. And you will see me back soon with another set of tips and tricks for Linux.